Howdy, folks. Good morning. Welcome to the April 2026 edition of Cattle Trails Showcase. I'm Ron Wilson, Poet Laureate. Glad to be your host. The purpose of the Cattle Trails Showcase is to continually highlight the communities, historical elements, museums, and other attractions along the historic cattle trails. And Lonnie Steben is our showcase chair. The Cattle Trails Showcase was initiated 4 years ago by the International Chisholm Trail Association, represented by President Dennis Katzenmeyer, Secretary Nancy Lawrence, Treasurer Mary Lou Rivers. The showcase is now a project of the Historic Cattle Trails Consortium, which seeks to promote all of the historic cattle trails: the Chisholm Trail, the Western Trail, also known as Great Western, the Shawnee, and the Goodnight Loving Trails. And I will remind everyone again, the second annual National Cattle Trails Conference will take place in Sedalia, Missouri, in October 22 to 24, 2026. And also in 2026, we are celebrating America's 250th birthday. And I want to say some words about that. Congressman Ron Estes of Kansas and Congressman Lloyd Doggett of Texas are lead sponsors of a resolution honoring the cowboy and historic cattle trails as part of the celebration of America 250. And I wanted to share some info about that. So hang with me here and let me share my screen. And find what I need to show you. So I hope you can see a headline. Representative Estes introduces the resolution celebrating American Cowboy cattle trails. Can you all see that? See some head shakes. Congressman Estes introduced this bipartisan resolution, references all the cattle trails, speaks about the importance. And I wanted to call to your attention this paragraph. The resolution is supported by the Texas Chisholm Trail Association, International Chisholm Trail Association, Historic Cattle Trails Coalition, National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the Kansas Livestock Association, Western Wordsmiths, Colorado Cattlemen's, Nebraska Cattlemen, North Dakota Stockmen, New Mexico Cattle Growers Association, Oklahoma Cattlemen's Association, and the South Dakota Cattlemen's Association. So there's wide base of support from these stakeholder groups with an interest in this. There's excellent quotes from Congressman Estes and Congressman Doggett, and as well as the Kansas Livestock Association CEO, Carrie Murdoch, who's been active with our group from Texas, and our own Dennis Katzenmeyer, as well as the president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. So I'm really pleased by the broad support that this has generated. And then I wanted to share a look at the resolution itself. So I hope you can see that. HRES 1152 was introduced by these members of Congress. So among the original co-sponsors, we have both parties represented. We have 4 states represented, and we're actively seeking more co-sponsors. So I would like to follow up this program with an email to y'all. I'll ask Nancy to send that will have a copy of the news release, a copy of the resolution, and specifics about the resolution. There is no reason for every member of Congress in our states not to co-sponsor this resolution. Again, it's simply a positive bipartisan statement about the value of the cowboy, and we have a unique opportunity in 2026 to promote that history. And in the full, diverse, and complete story of the American cowboy and the history. We reference the resolution references all the cattle trails, all the states, the trails, and the value and importance of the cowboy. And then it states that the House of Representatives should recognize the valuable role of the American cowboy and historic cattle trails for their vital contributions to the nation's history and encourage local celebrations of such legacy as part of the nation's 250th anniversary. And with that in mind, today we are going to hear about a couple of really important celebrations of that history that will be taking place in coming weeks. So we have a panel of two that are going to talk about those local celebrations. And due to scheduling, we're going to begin with Austin Anders of the Dickinson County Heritage Center in Abilene, Kansas. Exciting event coming up soon. Austin, if you would, please tell us about that event.
Well, good morning to everybody. Once again, yes, here in Abilene, we are going to celebrate not only the cattle and the trails that went through Abilene, but the prairie, the people that came to settle this land, planted weed and all those kinds of fun things. Our dates are April 24th and 25th. So here at the end of this month, we have several different activities going on, all three museums. I guess maybe I ought to start with how this kind of came together about 6 months ago. Is Old Abilene Town, Smoky Valley Railroad, and ourselves as the Heritage Center, this historical society, got together and started discussing how do we celebrate the US 250 here in our corner of the world. And we've came up with a list. We're doing anywhere from old-fashioned photos to carnival games. We're going to have stagecoach rides. We have gunfighters. Can Girls will be out. Ron will be coming out Friday to do some cowboy poetry for us. Along with a couple of bands of the evening. The Lazy Wayne Band will be there on Friday. And then Saturday, April 25th, we have Dave Zerfus coming out. We'll have gunfighters. We'll have the train getting robbed. We have a Wild West show coming down from Minnesota to do a couple performances. They have Andy Oakley, Wild Bill, Buffalo Bill. They're going to do some horse tricks and trainings and some different things like that. They're actually going to set up an encampment. So you'll kind of get to see what Abilene looked like as it started getting the cattle coming to Abilene with all the tents and things like that. So lots of exciting things going on for us.
Outstanding, Austin. And so where can people go to find more specifics, or what's the admission charge? How does all that work?
Okay, so more specifics, if you go onto Facebook and look up Plains, Trains, and Cowboys, and that's PLAINS, as in planes, not as the airplanes, you can find it on Facebook. You can also look at our website, the Dickinson County Historical Society, and we will have specifics on our website. And then if you want wristbands ahead of time, we are selling them here at the Heritage Center. We're at 412 South Campbell Street here in Abilene, right behind Eisenhower Center. And wristbands are $10 a day for adults, and it's $5 a day for kids.
And it's obviously Plains, Trains, and Cowboys. The unique connection, the amazing resource that you have right there where you're situated so close to the Smoky Valley Railroad. Would you say a word about the Smoky Valley Railroad?
Well, they have been wonderful partners to work with. Of course, the train that tracks actually goes right by our museum, and they run to Enterprise and back, and they have been going for over 30 plus years. Unfortunately, this year they will not have the steam train going. They have to do a 15-year inspection, but they will have train rides. The Wild West group that's coming down, they're actually going to rob the train maybe up to 3 different times. So for those that want to get a ticket and be a part of a robbery, that'll be a fun part of our event. So
that is going to be a blast. That is going to be a blast.
Austin, this is Lonnie. Are they still doing the dinner thing too with the train, or is that later in the year?
No, they're still doing dinner trains. In fact, they got a prom train coming up. They reduced their price because they understand, high school kids don't make a whole lot of money. But you can take your sweetie on a train ride before prom. Then they do Valentine's Day. They'll do Mother's Day trains, and then they just kind of do assorted throughout the summer different dinner trains. It just kind of depends on what you want. So
it is worth it to make a trip to Abilene and take in the Dickinson County Heritage Museum, an old Abilene town, see the gunfighters, and have a drink of sarsaparilla down at the saloon, and then take the train rides. It's really really remarkable. Train rides, every weekend, and
oh
different
yeah,
theme events. And not to mention the Eisenhower history, the Eisenhower
yeah.
Museum, and the National Greyhound Museum.
Yep. Well, all five of us are kind of right here together. There is another museum here in town called Jeffcoat Studios. The Jeffcoat family started their photography studio in the early 20s, and they closed it down in 2007. And they have a lot of history of Abilene and its community members, not only here in town, but in surrounding areas. And so it's worth a while to stop and look in there. Of course, you have Seeley Mansion that's right off Buckeye. For people to see, they're open normally from 9 to 3 in the afternoon, and they have rotating tours. So if you want to see a period correct house from about 1945, it's a very interesting home to see. Downtown, of course, there's plenty of antique shops and boutique shops, plenty of restaurants downtown to see and enjoy.
Any other questions for Austin?
Yeah, Austin, on the Seeley Mansion, was there another mansion that burned, or another house, a Kirby house or something like this?
Well, the Kirby house, which was more towards the downtown area, yes, it did burn. Kirby was one of the bankers that was here in town, and it was a restaurant. And as I understand, I was a fairly young man. I was in junior high when this burnt down, but there was a cook that was making some food, and the oil got out of control, and it burnt the house to the ground. Where it stands now is actually a monument business.
Nice. Okay.
Austin, the one thing we didn't cover is the giant belt buckle. I think we actually had a presentation on that one time, but
it is still right there by our fairgrounds. We have people that come all the time to our museum and ask, well, where's the world's largest belt buckle at? And we have to tell them, well, just go down here to the fairgrounds. And there's always plenty of pictures of it, it seems like, because you can actually climb the stairs behind it and look like you're wearing a big belt buckle.
Yeah, this is Steve Myers in Fort Worth. I missed it. Are you with the city or with the museum?
I am with the museum. I am the executive director of the Dickinson County Historical Society.
Great. How long have you done that now?
So this June will be 5 years. I started volunteering in 2016, and I brought back what was known as the Tuesday Night Work Night Group, which fixed a lot of the different equipment, the buildings, to try to keep up and maintain it. And we had some issues there around 2000 with a board that got in. And we always like to say there was one September night where the Historical Society took its Historical Society back. And from then, we had to literally build it back up from nothing. Essentially, on the financial side, everything else stayed on grounds. And we've been slowly trying to grow this museum back to what it used to be before then. And then we've actually exceeded that. We just built our Heritage Hall, which is a multi-purpose room that we could use for a pioneer camp, for different speakers coming in and talking, or different groups or organizations that want to have their meetings here in Abilene.
Oh, it sounds like you're doing a great job. It's nice to see Abilene come back after several years of being kind of stale in the programs they had there.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm originally from Gary County there. I grew up and went to school there. So I
Okay.
spent a lot of times as a young kid going to the museum there. As a kid with the family, and everyone would come to visit, and we'd go to Abilene to the museum and look at all the old buildings and the programs they had back then. Then it just kind of faded away, but it's nice to see that you're getting something done, and and getting it going again there in Abilene. So congratulations on the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that for sure. What part of Gary County, by the way?
In Junction City
Okay,
area.
so you were in Dickinson. Okay. So,
Not far.
yep, not far at all.
Well, again, thank you, Austin, for the great work you're doing there, and we're excited. Yeah.
What are the dates
see.
again?
April 24th and 25th. It would be a Friday and a Saturday.
Thank you.
And watch for that info on Facebook for more specifics. Well, thank you, Austin.
You bet.
We're going to turn to Caldwell. Jill Kuehny is the president of CEO of CanOkla and a leader in tourism and the Chisholm Trail events. Jill, please share with us about what's coming up in Caldwell.
Okay. We're getting ready to have our annual Chisholm Trail Festival, and it's May 1 and 2. So I'll share some slides with you all. Let me get my screen to where I can see you all at the same time. So this is showing our event itself. And as you spoke earlier, trying to tie into America's 250, the Kansas Tourism and Travel had kind of put that wish out there for all of us doing festivals. So I thought it was interesting to try to tie into, we weren't part of America yet, but the story of Growing West is fascinating. And I'm a history lover. And I think looking back at it now, talking about the Kirby House, I have a vintage photo of the Caldwell Saloon Girls on the steps of that. It was about the week or two before it burned. And it reminded me of that. I'm like, we were there and we were in the old town. It's probably why I have those Saloon Girl boots there. So I think returning to Caldwell after school, after college and coming back here, I was thrown into the history piece, which is probably why I dove in pretty deep to where I am today. So I spent about 25 years heading up our Saloon Girl troupe, and that's because when I came back, I'm kind of a choreographer by nature, and I was asked to take that on. And so I created a crew that we stayed together here and there. We all, had to take a year off to have babies or whatever we were doing. There was a bunch of us that we could just fill in for each other. But we've had a high time just really enjoying that with the Delano gals too, and they would come down, and we've had the longest can line in history and those kinds of things. So that was always fun. Henry Brown, he became our focus this year. So I find it fun to educate our community and everyone that follows our page on Facebook about history, but in a fun, enlightening way. So Henry was the worst of the worst, the lawless law town, but we were desperate and we were tired of being, the vigilante, lawless den of inequity, as they would call it, down here on the border. And it was because we were at Indian territory and you could just run across the border and you were free from all your, chasers. So we went into a deep dive of Henry. He's become the focus of our fundraisers this year. We had a Singo event about Henry. We also had a Mags and the Boys. Mag Woods came down from Wichita's our Red Light Saloon. And she and Billy the Kid was who Henry ran with. So he was involved in a couple of murders down there in New Mexico and Texas. He started running with he came out of Missouri to be a buffalo hunter and then became a cowboy to earn some more pay. And then he found out he could earn a little bit more being an assistant marshal. Miraculously, he made it up here. We hired him and he robbed the bank at Medicine Lodge. Big shootout over there and hung the rest of his party. So it's a shameful tale we love to tell because people just dive into that history. They love it, especially the worst it can be, right? And so that is the worst of the worst. We did hire him to tame our town, and I have found it's pretty interesting for everyone to have learned a little more about Henry, and we can go pretty deep into the Billy the Kid thing, which people love because the American Cowboy has that, persona about him of the Wild West movies. And so if you get into the regulators, with Emilio Estevez and all of those characters, they had taken Henry's part in another regulator part and kind of mushed him just for screen effect to save on characters and time. But he's involved in those stories. So that's why his picture is up here. I just wanted to kind of show our focus of the year. Now, our historical society is a very clever bunch. They run actually three, but two buildings here in town. The Opera House is going to be hosting their murder mystery. These are true, unsolved mysteries. This one happens to be a 146-year-old mystery. We had a lot of killings here, just more murders than typical. And it is because we were located here on the line of Indian Territory. So, 4 o'clock, you're going to get to be part of a mystery solving event. The folks that put it on are clever. It's very entertaining, high time. It takes about probably 80 of our crowd there's a lot of other things going on. So if you can get a ticket in there, it's an 1880s unsolved assassination of Frank Hunt at the red light. Now the red light was down by the tracks. A lot of killings were happening down there as well as on Main Street, just because you are safely through from Texas to Kansas once you get to the border, Queen. Pretty wild time. So that's why we needed to hire some lawlessness to be able to handle that kind of crew. So it's going to be great. They have a whole lineup of other unsolved murder mysteries after that. So hopefully, it's a lot of work. Hopefully they can do that every year. The cattle drive is our signature event. People love to come out, even if they've seen it before. So at 10:30, we'll be driving from Oklahoma to Kansas. It's very peculiar this year to have our bridge out, and Kansas Department of Transportation had already told me I could get my cattle across. So they're closing the bridge, and they said except for livestock only. So they're allowing me this little caveat to cross the bridge with my small little drover's crew and cattle that'll be coming from our pastures in Oklahoma and cross the line and come down Main Street. So I was thrilled about that. We have a group of gunfighters that like to come up to Cowtown as well. I know they know those guys as well. And so our Border Queen regulators have always put on a high noon gunfight. So they are a group of volunteers, of course, but we have very popular thing to do. If you retire, like our doctor and our current attorney is not retired, but they're all part of this group. They love to make their bullets ahead of time, their ammunition, I'm sorry, their ammo, their blanks. And then I had them do a make and take last year to show people how they made those. And then they go out on the street and then they shoot each other with them, of course. We had so many shootouts here, but the Talbot Gang shootout is our probably most famous one that we like to reenact. So they will do that right here on Main Street on the main intersection. They're also doing a gun raffle, and so I just thought I'd throw that out there as well. They're doing it as a fundraiser for the Historical Society. Had a little roof damage with a storm taking off part of the roof above the museum in the upstairs called the Roost. And the Roost is very popular. I'll show you that in a minute as well. This is our farmers market. We have a Border Queen Harvest Hub, which is your locally produced food in the area, and it's a regional hub. We're also excited to have any vendors that want to come into our beautiful community building. But Kansas to the stars, I was able to get that mobile tourism van. Last year we signed up, but I didn't get it. And this year I was pretty thrilled. I got it in early and we got it. So it happens to be showing Big Brutus just because I pulled that from the web, but this is coming down to our little heritage park. So they get to tell you everybody's events happening in Kansas. So that'll be a fun event. And right next to that, we had a man pass away that always ran our little kids train. He could pull it with his little side by side, and he had made little cars for them to get in. So we have Al's memorial train going this year, and they will be taking kids to every little stop. We happen to have a new ice cream shop that will be opening that day. So we're going to have a little detour route to take the kids to get ice cream cones as well. So Friday night, we kick off our event. We do a pub crawl because we have 6 establishments in one city block. I know that sounds like a lot. It is a lot, and it is probably a tribute to the Wild West days of Caldwell. We also had about 16 saloons and dance houses. So it was just a cluster of lots of lots of trouble to get into, that's for sure. So we thought
I
it'd be
think
fun.
I see Dennis Katzenmeyer walking along that by that Model T there.
It's here, you see. I grabbed this photo from downtown Caldwell from the Historical Society because I loved that our buildings, our downtown hasn't really changed that much, especially in this block. You get the little ornaments on top of those buildings, but that's still there, and that's what it looks like. So we have a Border Queen Cruisers. They're a car club here, and I've asked all of them to get out their Model A's, Model T's, whatever, I guess Prohibition was the time when all of those kind of road car like to be able to get away quick. They made these kinds of cars that whatever I think of it as gangster period or whatever. So in true to form, we are Wild West all the way. These were your cowboys. I'd say the Wild West of Prohibition time, right? So especially down here, I thought it'd just be fun to have a different theme going as well. So we have an original Prohibition club, like that's what they used for their signature logos of types of things. So we're bringing that into a t-shirt design. That'll be a lot of fun. We have Carry Nation on the t-shirt as well. That's a fun spin on the Wild West with this time. And Prohibition wasn't just for that period. There was a lot of Prohibition times during our early days here in Caldwell. So anyway, that's going to be a lot of fun Friday night. It brings quite a crowd and it entertains a whole nother segment. So we use this event for tourism to bring in extra commerce dollars for our chamber small businesses downtown. And in doing that, we attract all kinds of different demographics for this. So this one's a high time, very fun and entertaining, and the streets will be fairly open since our Bluff Creek Bridge south of town is out of commission. It's going to be quiet. We won't have the truck traffic. Highway 81 Chisholm Trail happens to be our main street, so it gets very loud and busy. Okay, so another feature I always try to tie in to Kansas Humanities Speakers. I love the arts and culture piece of this to tie it together. And Ron gets to be we love this, he's our Riding Trails and Writing Rhymes because Kansas, in celebrating America's 250, also has a second grouping. I think there's 11 of you for the folks tale part of that. And so we're excited to have that piece. My railroad guy just canceled yesterday. So he's got to have surgery and some rehab. And so I understand that. But man, railroads, if it wasn't for the rails, we wouldn't have been able to do what we did down south of the line with our Topeka, Atchison, Santa Fe rail. So it dipped down a little spur, came down into Indian Territory to grab the cattle out in 1880. So it was a little bit later than the original trail. We were still the dusty trail town, but then when this was revived because of our rails, we like to tell that story. Here's our actual, we do have some live music as well, like Abilene. We have 3 bands coming to be on our back alley stage. This is between Chisholm Street, named for the Chisholm Trail, and Main Street, which is our Highway US 81. There's a block in there that we block off, which will be the kids area as well. We've got some mutton busting with the Fair Association. I've got these 3 numbers. We've got some bluegrass, some rock, and some red dirt country. She's from Wellington, so that should bring our Wellington crowd down as well. And we've hosted some from Medford as well. We try to find the up and coming and try to help them out on some local music. Our 4th grade tram tour, we are super into our education of our kids. We do put hats on them. We put them on the tram. We have some beef jerky locally made from native grass beef. They raise beef right along the border. This sarsaparilla and the whole thing, they take a very educational tour and they know where they're from. We find it very important for your youth to know where they're from and why their town is there and that history piece of that. So we do have our art show will be open all day that day in our Creative Vibes art studio, along with a lot of youth art in there as well. And our Mags and the Boys art collages, they came out very cool. They were a mixed media event. Our Turtle Trails, we did get PBS Kansas TV down this week, and so we'll be featured next Tuesday, but Turtle Tales drew them in, as well as the Roost. That's our live museum upstairs of our Border Queen Museum, and that's where our reenactors come in and they tell the tales and take you through each room. And they have a brand new room to show off, and it's beautiful. cross the aisle. The local dentist lets us go up there on the weekends because he says we're like elephants stomping through there if it's during the week while he's working. But we reenact the Cherokee Strip Livestock Association, which formed here in 1881 to handle the silver coins that we would pay rent to the Cherokee tribe. The Cherokee outlet was just south here, and that's where we would fatten up the cattle on the ranches, haul them out. And we like to tell that reenactment of where the deals were done in the Chisholm Cherokee Strip Livestock Association room. This year we are running through the Red Hills with bikes as well. We have our gunfight at high noon, our mutton busting, our kids corral. We have shooting range, no bullets. This is laser. It's pretty cool. He's going to come back down from Wellington. He's one of our sheriff deputies that has a shooting range. And then our turtle tours. So the downtown business district, we always have our Czech heritage mush in with that and our turtle history mush in with that because so everybody's having a good time. Just a lot of fun to have some Czech beer garden and some kolaches going on. We do have a upstairs Roos Living Museum, the shooting range, the old time photos, food trucks, and we have a lot of local eateries that we like to push, for our small businesses. So the the railroad show will be replaced by the artist. And now we've been contacted by a woman, Patricia McKnight, who has just published a book and it's taking place in Caldwell. It's very cool. So we squeezed her in she wanted to come to the festival and talk about that. So we're going to talk about that. And then we have our Opera House Historical Society Hall of Fame this year. And this will be the third year they've done that. And then it spills out into a skit that then ends up in the middle of the street for the high noon gunfight. So delighted my mother was chosen for that award this year. She's delighted and surprised. And so it's just been a lot of fun. We threw her a big shebang for her birthday, her 80th this year, and then she was awarded that. So she's feeling like this is a big year. And it is. And then we'll have you, Ron, at 1, and then the Mutton Bust and Murder Mystery, and then the live music. So Ollie's Ice Cream grand opening. We just find that's going to be an amazing reuse of one of our buildings that's been empty for about a year and a half. The silhouettes are down on the Oklahoma line. Those are always a fun attraction. We have a highway drive where you can pull over and see those. They were put in the 90s. We have a Trails, Rails, and Scales visitor center. It's an old mill company office, and it's a cute little red brick building that we have been able to use with the original tile floor. So it's never not open. That's how we describe it. So you can't hurt anything in there, and we keep all the history. The kids were able to print out all the history that we have on some canvas on the walls. So it's pretty cool. And then I already talked about the museum, the Cherokee Strip Livestock Room, and then the parlor room on the other side is delightful and period settings. And then the turtle tours. So this year, in trying to this is our 40th anniversary of being the ornate box turtle capital of the world, designated when our 1986 sixth grade class asked Kansas if that could be our state reptile. And we did have Governor Carlin come down and do a big thing in our gymnasium. So it was declared by proclamation that we are the ornate box turtle capital of the world. It got into the weirdest small town fight about being a border queen or the turtle tour, as if it was going to be one or the other. Enough time has passed, 40 years. We are now going to be both, and we've embraced it. We won a grant last year. We put 12 turtles downtown, and each artist got to paint their own. This is an example of our visitor center down there by the tracks, and this is one of the turtles painted by a local artist. So we like to tell the tale of millions of years ago. We were part of the sea, and so we had turtles then as well, and they just adapted to land just as this area started, getting people coming over into it. So we will probably tell this tale in a live, like a exhibition form for the students during their 4th grade tour as well. And then as you spoke, Ron, I'm very excited about the resolution. I feel like it could, be a wonderful announcement to have during our festivals as we all share the news. And it's just, you have such an array of people there for different reasons. It's a wonderful time to share things that they're not aware of or they're not looking at, or this could be a wonderful thing for our small community for the commerce piece of that along 81. And I have to say, I really want the rain, especially if I need a happier husband. We all want the rain, correct? So if it rains and my big bridge is out and you have to do a workaround to get to this pasture, which is the most beautiful pasture to overlook Bluff Creek, I will be canceling this afternoon after we get off of this call, I'm afraid. I just have been holding my keyboard from wanting to do that because it is such a cool tour, and I only do it every 5 years. But we have an Atchison, Santa Fe, Atchison, Topeka, Santa Fe built their rails here and then pushed this little spur down there into Oklahoma. So you see the red dirt there, but you got to get out into the Oklahoma Osage road, and that is difficult to get to. You can get to it through the Red Hills or you can go east, but it's not the easiest place to get to. The local owner is excited to host that again. You can see where the stockyards were. You can tell where the railroad still pushed up, where the rails would have crossed. And you can see Manning's grave where a cowboy was killed and buried right there till his mother came up from Texas and took him back home. But we've got a lot of the first chance, last chance was down on the border in 1869. Caldwell wasn't a community until 1871. So we love tying that in, and we still have an LX Ranch stone house that the family lets us. They're trying to find some grants to try to rehab a little bit of that because it tells a great story from the LX Ranch that put a branch up here from Texas. So in saying that, I did add a couple of things. If you're in, we have a lot of people just pull over and stop and look at our 23 historical signs. We had them revived a few years back to celebrate our 150-year community anniversary. And then we also have our website that kind of talks through that as well, of other things to see and do. So with our Turtle Trail, Turtle Tours, we've been getting a lot of children's groups here, some homeschool groups here. It's a lot of fun to see those groups going up and down the street looking for the turtles. They are about 4 foot by 2 foot, so the kids do love to climb on them. They're all painted differently. We have an app to follow to show you where that is, and we also have a map that's kind of a fun map by the grocery store. Really needed to cover that window anyway. A lot of his inventory. I was like, hey, Jeff, do you mind if we? So it's been a win-win on that. We have a huge map in the window that they can see where to go find those turtles. But I might be over my 8 minutes, but are there any questions?
Great history, amazing history, and the great things you're doing with it. Now, Jill, can you show us that T-shirt that you're wearing?
Yeah. So last year we really celebrated with this, how the West was won. So if you look at the rider, he's our cowboy shooting, but he's riding a turtle. So it's how history collides. We had a gentleman here in town, his mother came up with the idea. He AI'd some, what ifs, and it came up with this design that we all went, okay, that's cooler than I imagined that would be, because we didn't think that was going to be a good thing. Well, it took off. We have had so many of these. One says, my other ride is a kolache, and you get that if you're part of our Czech crew. And another one is similar to something like that. You get to choose your own saying. So the 40th year of the turtle is really bringing a new awareness of the turtle, and those generations that it's fresh to, like they didn't know the history, they didn't live through it, they didn't care, they just heard these urban legends, about it, like what happened with these turtle wars, because the Wichita Eagle wrote there were turtle wars in Caldwell, and it got pretty hilarious. I brought it up to our, he won't want me to mention his name, but he said, keep my name out of this, because he was one of them, pretty animated back in its day, and I think he's a little realizing he probably went overboard a little bit, but there was a movement to try to stop that from happening. And it is interesting why. So we still have a turtle mural on one of our buildings. The debate right now is whether it's going to get painted over by the distillery, and I don't think that's going to cause another turtle war, but it's it's been entertaining for sure. We love small town entertainment, so
I think I could ride a bucking turtle. I'm not sure I could ride a bucking horse these
because
days,
it's
but
going to move very slow for you, right? So you could just,
I'm counting on it.
oh, you just gave me an
Questions for
idea. We'll have to get a ride.
Jill. Questions or comments for Jill?
Try to figure out how to stop sharing for
I think
you.
you covered it very, very thoroughly. Do have a couple of other points to make. Lonnie has put in the chat a link to the Waxahachie, Texas Cowboy Gathering, and that the 5th annual Waxahachie Cowboy Gathering is Saturday, April 18. For those of you in Texas, and it's a just a brief program, 10 to noon at the Sims Library in Waxahachie, and then programs to follow. David Smith, the Waxahachie Cowboy poet, who will be with us at Sedalia for the National Cattle Trails Conference, is part of that program. So those of you in Texas, we encourage you to participate in that. I was going to mention another thing. Carrie Murdoch, the president of the Outdoor Chisholm Trail Museum, which hosted us in Cleburne, Texas, of course, for last year's conference. There was a tour of Texas travel counselors who visited a number of communities. And out of all that, Carrie Murdoch was selected as the best guide of an attraction or museum. And she will be recognized on April 16 at the Texas Travelers Conference Awards in El Paso. So congratulations to Carrie and the Outdoor Chisholm Trail Museum on that. Other comments or questions for now?
Ron, this is Lonnie. I think I see Carla's with us. Have we finalized thoughts on that for 2020? Would it be 27, I guess, when it conference?
Be 2027. And yes, indeed, the great folks in Enid have reserved space for us. What is it? I think it's maybe the 3rd weekend of October in 2027. So our 3rd annual National Cattle Trails Conference will be in Enid in October of 2027. So we look forward to that. Any other comments? Well, Cattle Trails Showcase comes up, of course, the 2nd Wednesday of each month. Big thanks, a virtual round of applause. Thank you, Tom, for tremendous presentations by both Austin and by Jill, and we look forward to these upcoming exciting events. Next month, Lonnie, you want to talk about plans for that?
Well, we're trying to put together a tour, a guided tour and history of the Teddy Roosevelt Presidential Library that will be opening July the 4th, kicking off America 2025 in that area, which is Medora, North Dakota, in the Badlands, and not far from Roosevelt's Elkhorn Ranch and, of course, Yellowstone. And there's actually a tour that, if you go up to the library, which they call the TR Triangle, which is like an 8-hour tour of attractions up in that area. So if you go to their website, you'll find out information. Now, the tickets are already sold out. I think they're $26 for adults for the grand opening of the library, but you can go online and you have to schedule ahead for tickets. They don't sell tickets at the library. So you go on and schedule a date. If you're interested in going up into that area, it would be another very interesting weekend, probably your 2 or 3 day trip up in that area to see what is to be offered up in North Dakota area. So. So hopefully we'll have more information together by next month on that.
So join us on Friday, May 8th for the next Cattle Trails Showcase. We'll hope to see you then. Until next time, this is Ron Wilson, Poet Laureate, saying thanks for taking time to join us in this place, and come on back next month for our Cattle Trails Showcase. Happy trails, everyone.
Thank you all.